We are a growing sisterhood of South Indian village girls in modern India, creating traditional rangolis and kolams for you daily. But this video isn't just about art. It's a chilling preview to our nail-biting movie, Girls of the Red Soil, a saga novel crafted by us, unveiling the harsh realities of traditional life for village girls. In our teaser prologue, we will journey back to the 1970s, as we follow young village girl Tulsi from birth to adulthood. Witness the struggles of our female ancestors in a patriarchal world from early history to modern-day India, in an unusual, new genre eco-thriller. Now, get ready to immerse into Tulsi's world, while enjoying our Rangoli creations. Prologue Part 2, Born as a Burden. A baby girl arrives during a lunar eclipse, they say. I was born on a cursed night. A night that still makes the elders shiver when they speak of it. The moon had not merely turned the color of ash, it had vanished, devoured by an unseen hunger, leaving the sky a gaping, black maw. The village dogs didn't just howl, their cries were primal, guttural wails that tore at the fabric of the night, as if they'd glimpsed horrors beyond human comprehension. The elders muttered, their voices raspy with dread, that no child should arrive during such a profound, inauspicious lunar eclipse, especially not a girl. And especially not a girl like me, who seemed to carry the very darkness of that night in her silent, unblinking gaze. My mother, Amma, was already in the throes of a pain that contorted her face when the eclipse began its terrifying descent. The midwife, her face pale and etched with fear, hesitated, her hands hovering. Wait until the shadow passes, she whispered, her voice barely audible above Alma's gasps. To bring forth life in such an hour, it is to invite ill fortune. But Alma screamed, a sound ripped from the depths of her soul, and I came anyway, blood, breath, and a chilling, unnatural silence. I didn't cry. That was the first problem, a stark, unsettling absence of the vital sound that signals a new life. A rooster, confused by the sudden, false midnight, crowed at an unholy hour. That was the second, a jarring disruption of the natural order that sent a ripple of unease through the hushed house. And I was a girl. That was the third, and in their eyes, the gravest, an unshakable curse. Appa didn't come to see me. He sat outside, a shadow hunched beneath the vast, oppressive sky, chewing beetle leaves with a furious rhythm, his eyes fixed on the ancient neem tree, as if seeking answers in its gnarled branches. A girl, someone told him, their voice heavy with pity. He spat a stream of crimson into the dust, a gesture of profound, bitter disappointment that seemed to echo in the silent courtyard. Amma, her body still trembling from the ordeal, wrapped me in an old, faded sari, its threads as worn as our family's hopes, and held me close. Her eyes, though tired, held a fierce, protective light. She whispered, Tulsi. She named me after the sacred plant that miraculously thrives in every South Indian courtyard, a plant that defies drought, withstands fire, and endures neglect. A plant that is worshipped, yes, but paradoxically, never truly invited inside, always remaining at the threshold, a constant reminder of its place. I was born into a house with walls that seemed to weep dust, a testament to generations of unfulfilled dreams, and a roof patched with brittle coconut fronds, a precarious shield against the elements, a silent testament to our grinding poverty. Not the kind of poverty that merely meant a missed sweet during a festival, a fleeting sadness, but the kind that gnawed relentlessly at your belly, a constant, dull ache that forced you to beg for rice from neighbors and stitch torn blouses twice over, until the fabric was more patch than original cloth. We were Dalits, low caste, untouchable. That meant 1,000 silent, invisible rules that chained us, rules whispered in the wind and etched into the very earth we walked on. We couldn't enter the vibrant, incense-filled temple, its sacred bells ringing tantalizingly close. We couldn't draw cool water from the main well, its depths guarded by the disdainful eyes of the higher castes. We couldn't even sit on the smooth, cool stone platform where the Brahmin children played their carefree games, their laughter echoing like a cruel taunt. And I was a girl. Another burden added to an already overflowing basket. In our village, the birth of a boy was a cause for raucous, unbridled celebration, a symphony of drums and crackling firecrackers that echoed through the night, a joyful noise that carried the promise of a future. The birth of a girl was met with a stifling, suffocating silence, a collective sigh of resignation that felt heavier than any wail. Boys were fed first, their bellies filled with the choicest, most nourishing morsels. Girls were taught to serve, to stand silently, their hands always ready to offer, never to take. Boys were sent to the small, dusty schoolhouse, their minds filled with letters and numbers, their futures brimming with possibility. Girls were taught to sweep, to grind spices, to smile with their lips closed, never revealing the vulnerability of their teeth, never offering too much of themselves. Later, they bathed me in a mixture of turmeric and neem leaves, their pungent, earthy scent filling the small, stifling room. I screamed, my tiny lungs rebelling against the unfamiliar sensations, the bitter coolness against my newborn skin. The smoke from the sambrani, a fragrant resin burned during rituals to purify and bless, swirled around me, thick and suffocating, clinging to my nascent breath, a heavy cloak rather than a blessing. Amma, her hands gentle despite her own exhaustion, rubbed my skin with warm oil, a soothing balm, and sang a lullaby, her voice a fragile beacon of comfort in the overwhelming chaos. Outside, a voice, sharp and undeniably judgmental, cut through the thin walls, slicing through the air like a knife. She's too loud. Girls should be quiet, should know their place even before they learn to speak. That night, a snake, sleek and silent, its scales shimmering faintly in the moonlight, slithered across our dusty courtyard, its presence an undeniable, terrifying omen. The elders shook their heads, their pronouncements dire, their eyes wide with fear. Appa, drowning his profound disappointment and the day's ill tidings in too much air, didn't come home, leaving Amma to face the deepening shadows alone. Amma, a fragile sentinel against the encroaching darkness, stayed awake, her gaze fixed with an almost desperate intensity on my tiny chest, watching me breathe, willing me, with every fiber of her being, to defy the curses, to overcome the omens, to simply be. I grew up with these stories, not as comforting bedtime tales, but as stark warnings, whispered reminders of my burdened existence, each word a heavy stone added to the growing weight on my shoulders. You were born during an eclipse, Amma would say, her voice laced with an unbearable sorrow. When I dared to ask why Appa's smile never quite reached his eyes when he looked at me, why his gaze always seemed to slide away. You were born when the moon hid its face, when the world held its breath in fear. But I also remember the jasmine flowers, their delicate white petals fragrant and pure, that she meticulously wove into my dark, unruly hair, a small, defiant act of beauty against the drabness of our lives. I remember the intricate rangoli, those beautiful floor patterns made with rice flour, a daily blessing, a prayer for prosperity, that she drew outside our door, even when the landlord's wife, a woman of higher caste and sharper tongue, declared with a sneer that low-caste women had no business decorating the sacred earth, that such beauty was not for the likes of us. I remember the fierce tenderness with which she held me when I cried, her arms a sanctuary against the world's harshness, a haven where I could momentarily forget the crushing weight of being. And I remember the way she cried, silently, her tears mirroring the ones I often couldn't shed, her sorrow a reflection of my own unspoken pain, a shared burden that bound us irrevocably. I was born a burden. That's what they all said, their voices a constant, echoing refrain, a heavy weight that settled on my small shoulders, threatening to crush me before I even had a chance to stand. But Amma, my unwavering champion, my silent fortress against their pronouncements, never believed it. And slowly, like the persistent tulsi plant pushing its delicate leaves through cracked earth, defying all odds to thrive, neither did I. The eclipse may have marked my birth, a dark stain on my beginning, but it would not, could not, define my life. Not if Amma had anything to say about it, and not if I, the silent, cursed girl, had a breath left to take.